Hey, welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. If you're interested in school choice and your child's education, don't go away. Laurie Lee with Reform Alliance is with us on this show, and we'll be right back. Hey, welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. On this show, we're going to talk about educational opportunities and how important it is for children in care and children around Arkansas to have school choice. So on this show, we have a guest who's been with us before, Laurie Lee. Laurie, tell me a little bit about you and how you got involved in the educational system. Are you considered in some ways a lobbyist as well down at the Capitol, or you just go down there and knock on doors?
I actually have to register as a lobbyist.
Oh, you do?
So yes, I am a registered lobbyist in the state of Arkansas, and I got involved because I was that mom who had that kid that was round and didn't fit in the square system. So matter of fact, I was just talking to somebody this morning. It's been 20 years since I've been doing this.
Wow.
Fighting the battle of school choice and education equity in the state of Arkansas. And
equity, that's a big word these days.
It is a big word.
And I know you used that word on purpose. Can you tell me, were you a single mom at the time, 20 years ago, that you started getting engaged because you were engrossed in your child's education? Mm-hmm. Where was that at?
In Fayetteville.
In Fayetteville.
So in Fayetteville, I have two daughters. They are now 27 and 29. I know I don't look that old, but
yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
And so my youngest daughter was what we affectionately call in our family ADOST, Attention Deficit O'Shiny Thing. Uh-huh. So she has the attention span of a gnat. And so it was really hard for her, like it is for a lot of kids, whether they're ADD or just maybe they're just triangles instead of squares. And so as a single person that was a low-income earner, I had problems finding help for her. And, you know, we went to a great school. It was an amazing school, and the teachers there were fantastic. I didn't have any problems with that. But what I did have a problem with is that my kid wasn't able to excel. She wasn't able to thrive in that environment. And while my oldest daughter was very capable of thriving in that environment. And so what I came to recognize is that if my child had that challenge, there were many other thousands of children that had that challenge. So I just started investigating like what other options are out there. And I found at that time, 20 years ago, there weren't a lot. You know, there were charter schools, and I didn't know charter schools were free. Yeah. And I think many Arkansans don't know that charter schools are free. There's a waiting list, but they are free. They're actually public schools, and they are, many of them in the state of Arkansas are open charters, which mean you don't have to live in a zone, and there are some conversion charters that are zone restricted as well. And then I found out there were private schools, private Christian schools, private non-Christian schools, all kind. Just there was homeschool. But I didn't have that information, and the school district was not wanting to be as forthcoming with that information. And what I found out, as you know now, is because all of that's tied to money.
Yeah,
and,
always. Yeah.
You know, they really did. And I understand that. I mean, you know, at the core, I'm a capitalist, and I'm not for, you know, I'm for, you know, people being able to earn a good living at what they do, trading their time for money. But at the same time, my kid was suffering and not getting an education. And I feel like that because the system is so tied up there, that's the reason why the state of Arkansas struggles economically, educationally, and job-wise, is because we really don't have a lot of options for our kids who may be different shapes that are made to perform in a square system.
Yeah, a lot of times the school, and we have a private Christian school, Arkansas Christian Academy here on campus, and a lot of times, even regardless of the school, you put 15, 20 or more kids in a room. They're all supposed to conform to the same criteria. And you know, you talk about being distracted by the shiny thing. That would have been me. I was more interested in cracking a joke than I was in cracking a book. And I found school boring. I found the classrooms boring. Everything about it was boring except my jokes in class, which kept me in trouble, you know. And the teacher was always gracious enough to punish me by moving my desk up in front of the class, which is where I wanted to be anyway. But that is kind of an issue. So let's kind of digress a little bit. Where did you grow up? Were you an Arkansan?
I am an Arkansan. I actually grew up here in Little Rock and in Fort Smith.
How did you end up in Fayetteville then?
I was in the military. I joined the Navy right out of high school or subsequently.
Thank you for your service. I'm an Army guy. Thought I was
hold that
going to be a
against you.
Navy guy, but I literally walked out of the Navy recruiter the day they did not swear me in as I had anticipated, walked in and joined the Army. So what did you do in the Navy?
I was an explosive ordnance disposal diver.
And what does that mean for those of us who have no clue? Does that mean you went under the water?
I did, and I trained
explosives?
I did, and I actually was part of the Navy mammal program. I trained whales, dolphins, and sea lions for the military.
To do what?
Can't tell you that.
Thank you for not telling me and having to dispose of me.
Yes.
But I would think it had something to do with bombs and ordnance, and you can't answer that either. But
I won't confirm nor deny.
yeah. So how long did you do that?
I did a 4x4, so 8 years.
8 years, and you are obviously reasonably successful, or you would not be here today. And you got all your parts.
All my fingers and toes.
And then you somehow made your way to Fayetteville.
I came back to Arkansas, and my dad lived in Fayetteville, so I came back there with my two kids
your two children
as a
at that
single
time.
mom. And and so I
How
raised
old were
them.
they when they were having the educational issues that was the beginning of you getting engaged in education?
Right in first grade. So when my youngest daughter was kindergarten, first grade, we recognized right off that she had some challenges. Sitting, I mean, you got a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, you can tell right off they're pretty, aggressive. And
My daughter, who is a public school teacher in Texarkana, Texas, she's in her 24th or 5th year. They told us at Chico Elementary, Southwest Little Rock, we lived in Kelly Manor, which is a couple of blocks from the school, and it was an open school. And she, much like her dad, talks a lot, and she had a tendency to stand beside her desk and be engaged in everything that's going on in that big open concept. And they told us that she had trouble paying attention and she was immature. And I said, well, what 5 or 6-year-old's not immature? I'm nearly 70 and I'm immature. But we just really engaged with her and her educators, and we stayed on task. We worked through many of those things, and now she's a public school teacher, and she loves what she does, except all the government intervention. So we're going to take a brief break and talk about the educational opportunities that every child in Arkansas needs to have, and every parent should have the choice. So we'll be right back with Laurie Lee.
A mission field around you is filled with young hearts needing a forever family. And at Second Chance Youth Ranch, our team is committed to providing healthy, stable, loving homes and families to hurting children in the Arkansas foster care system and those up for adoption. Please contact us if you feel the tug at your heart to help foster or adopt, and find out the steps you could take to help fulfill a child's lifelong dream. Maybe you can't foster or adopt, but you could help. The need for thousands of children in the system is staggering. But with the help of faithful partners and business alliances, we are meeting those needs right now. Would you help us make a difference? Every gift, regardless of size, impacts a child's life directly and helps provide for a home in the gap right now. Visit the Second Chance Youth Ranch website at 2CYR.org to read more, watch the stories, and to make a contribution for a hurting child's care. Monthly partners are needed, so please contact us right away. And as you partner with this ministry, you are partnering with the Heavenly Father that has promised to be Father to the fatherless. God bless you for helping Second Chance Youth Ranch.
Hey, welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. You know, as I always say, coming back from breaks, I pray that on these breaks you get inspired, not only by what's in the break, but inspired to stay tuned in to find out more about our guest. Laurie Lee, you've been involved in the Navy for 8 years. When your children were small up in Fayetteville area, you recognized at least one, if not both of your daughters, needed some let's say it like this, some specialized assistance to be able to blossom. So before we get back too far into that, how are they doing now?
Oh, they're doing great.
27 and 29 years old.
Yeah, the 29-year-old works for me and is married to an amazing Christian man who I love dearly.
Did somebody have a birthday recently?
We both had birthdays in September. So
I saw the post on social media because we are social media friends, Facebook friends.
I love it.
So tell me what's happening right now in Arkansas. And I'm just going to be transparent with our audience if they haven't figured it out yet. I believe it's fair to say you and I both are strong advocates for school choice. What does that mean? You mentioned charter schools and all kinds of various schools, private schools, etc. School choice, simplified. Parents should have the right and should be the ones making decisions where their kids go to school, not the government monopoly. I'm not anti-public school. I am pro-school choice, which also means that money should follow the child to the school where the parents believe that's where the child should attend school. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. If you think about it, in the state of Arkansas, we invest about $10,000 to $11,000 a year on each student. So over the course of a child's education, we're well over six figures in that, and for that one kid. When you get to the end of that, when we have a 50% or close to it remediation rate for kids of just the ones that go to higher ed, you think that that's not a very good return on our investment.
When you say remediation rate, break that down for the layman. What's that mean?
So that means that once they graduate in Arkansas Public School, they are not on grade level. So many of our schools are at 30, 40, 50% of grade level, both in math and reading. And that's really unfortunate. It doesn't have to be that way. And it's not, and I want to be clear, our teachers in this state are fantastic, both public school and private school teachers. We have some amazing people in this state that really care about our kids. The challenge is that the bureaucracy is rewarded for keeping kids in schools that are not able to serve those kids' needs, or in schools that are failing. And we have those dynamics in the state. I mean, you can imagine a failing school. You know, you got hundreds of kids in a school that are going someplace where they have proven they can't either be fiscally responsible or they can't be academically responsible. Why are we continuing to send those kids there? And it takes years, maybe even decades. If you look at the SOG of the Little Rock School District, it's been decades they've been in distress. And so it begs the question, as a society, as a community, as a state, we have to decide what is the outcome that we're looking for in our education system. And I really feel that not enough people get engaged. And again, I had this conversation yesterday, and here's one of the challenges with reform in education. It is a child enters, the parent figures out somewhere between third and fourth grade their kid's struggling, right? And then they switch schools, so they go from elementary school to middle school or junior high. Then they got to get used to a whole new set of people, principals, and blah, blah, blah. And then by the time they figured out the system, their kid's in high school. If they haven't had the money or the connections to pull that kid out, then all of a sudden they're done. And now it's not a problem for them anymore. So you got to start again with the third grade. So there's not enough people that are engaged. And so our mission, my mission, is to really start making these parent groups across this state and in particular communities that struggle, and say, listen, you got to engage. In a school district, a superintendent or a principal can dismiss one parent pretty easily. Yeah. They can just kick the can down the road, but you get 5, 6, a dozen parents together, you can't dismiss those people.
That are seeing the same deficiencies or the same needs.
Yes, especially if they get together and get organized and develop a strategy and a plan. And one of the things that we like to say at the Reform Alliance is, we want to help organize parents to look at the local challenges, find local resources, and then find local solutions.
Is there any particular demographic or group of folks, demographically, that are most challenged by the lack of choice as to where their kids attend school?
Well, sure, absolutely. Those that are financially, on the lower end of the pay scale. I mean,
because wealthy people that aren't happy with their public school can
They just pull their kid out.
afford to put their kids in a private school
Or get a tutor,
Or
homeschool, or get a therapy, or you know, the people middle income and above have school choice. They have it. It's the people that are, you know, lower middle income and below that this is your option, and this is what you get, which is really the most unfortunate.
You can't love it or leave it because you can't leave it.
You can't leave it.
Yeah.
It's actually against the law for you to leave it. You can't take your kid out. And I mean, if you're working, you know, a blue collar job, and especially as a single parent, it's impossible for you to homeschool your kids. You've got to go to work every day.
And if you can't read, you can't succeed.
That's right.
And I'm telling you, there were two things that are so important in our lives, reading and math. And those were the two things that I did probably do better in than some of the other subjects, like English, because I just didn't, I figured you could talk English in Arkansas, and that's kind of a going joke around my house. My wife doesn't think it's funny. But children that get behind, now I got behind at Annie Camp Junior High in Jonesboro in the 7th grade. I started disconnecting because I didn't like some of the things that were being taught, and it began to really catch up with me in the 8th grade, and then in the 9th grade, it caught me, and I failed the 9th grade. I played football, ran track, had paper routes, didn't do my work, didn't pay attention in class, and it caught me. And that's what we're seeing really in the school system, is it catches up with our kids, and once they're behind, they fail, they lose confidence, and it then creates economic hardships as adults. We're going to take a brief break, come back with Laurie Lee with Reform Alliance, and we're going to talk about educational opportunities that you can take advantage of for you and your student. God bless you. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Perry Black right here at Arkansas Christian Academy. Are you looking for an alternative for educational opportunities for your child? Why not take a moment, visit our website, or make a phone call and come right here on our campus and take a tour. We'd love to meet you and your student and tell you the many opportunities that are available for you and your child. Chapel every day, fully accredited, affordable private Christian education, co-oping with ASU Three Rivers, and they can even graduate with up to 60 college hours. You don't want to miss this opportunity, so I look forward to meeting you right here at Arkansas Christian Academy. God bless.
My name's Alyssa and I'm 14. I really like playing sports. It gets my mind off of things. I love listening to music because it motivates me to help other people. I like hanging out with my friends. We go to the park, we swim, we just have fun, be teenagers. I like to read because, yes, you can learn in school, but you learn more when you're reading like books and stuff. I want to go to college and be a fish and game warden. If not, I want to be a photographer. And I really like being outdoors, like helping animals and enforcing the law to help animals and like stuff like that, because you don't want to hurt the environment. So I think that's a really good job for me. You see this stuff on the tree? This is called mossy. It grows on trees and rocks. My mom and her boyfriend had got drug tested and they failed. But my mom was like abusing us, and she was leaving us home alone at night. September 7th, I'm like 5 years since I've been in foster care. Well, I really want to go back to my auntie, but if I can't, then adoption would be okay because I've been in care too long. There's been ups and downs. I've really only been to one good foster family, and that was my first one. Being in foster care is really stressful, and I think being out of care will mold me into a better person. I want to take trips, like go on vacations, because I've only been out of state twice. And I think that'd be really fun to do with the family. If I could wish for one thing, I really want to go to the lake with my best friend on my birthday.
Hey, welcome back. On this show, we're talking about educational opportunities, and what we really want to focus on in this segment, because we are dealing with foster children, children that are kind of, when they come into care at Second Chance Youth Ranch, because they so many times have gone from school to school, community to community, foster home to foster home. When we get them at Arkansas Christian Academy or in our local schools, we know they are already educationally challenged. But that's not unique to foster care. Every parent should have the choice, not based on their economic situation, but the choice as to what's best for their children and their child's educational needs. So tell us, Reform Alliance, tell us a little bit about that. We've only got about 5 minutes, but tell us about that and what's available. I know some legislators are trying to expand the funding to also include military families. So what's going on at Reform Alliance? And
so the Reform Alliance is a C3 organization, and I'm on the board, chairman
which means
of the board.
a nonprofit.
A nonprofit. And so the mission is to, number one, inform the public about school choice options. Number two, we facilitate the Succeed Scholarship, which you and your school are very familiar with.
Yes.
That gives a voucher to special needs kids, foster kids, and now military kids, active duty military dependents.
So anyone watching who they'll know the lingo, and if you don't know the lingo, it's because your child doesn't fit the criteria. If you have your child has an IEP, a 504. Anything else?
Now we've even expanded it to you can go to a doctor and get a doctor's note. Now 504s don't qualify right now, but if you go to a doctor and they say that you have a disability, then
a learning disability.
You can go to the reformalliance.org, thereformalliance.org, and there's all the criteria there for that.
We'll put that on the screen.
And then. So that's that scholarship. We just recently passed a new tax credit scholarship, which means when everybody does their taxes, if you owe the state of Arkansas state income tax, instead of giving it to the state, you can actually donate it to what's called an SGO. The Reform Alliance is an SGO, and we can turn around and give that money to a student in the form of a scholarship to a private school.
Right now, the scholarship amounts to how much?
Right around $7,000.
And here at Arkansas Christian Academy, that would qualify a student to come here, and they would virtually have everything they need to attend for the year. And we have a number of students, and I have worked on behalf of our foster children, and that was incorporated into the Succeed Scholarship Program, foster children in group homes, some, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
About 4 years ago.
And we're always needing people to work together, to contact their legislators, to let them know we need to expand these opportunities even more so. I just wondered, if you don't mind me thinking out loud, because if I'm thinking and I'm talking, wonder why it's so difficult throughout our nation to get school choice. You touched on that in the first segment.
I think there are several dynamics. The biggest one, of course, is the teachers union and the superintendents, because they lose a portion of funding. And so, I always like to say, why don't you look at Florida or Indiana or Arizona, where they have these massive school choice programs and never has a public school closed. As a matter of fact, there's an argument to be made that the public schools in Florida have become much stronger now that they have this robust school choice. Because imagine this, the dissatisfied customers leave. Yeah. And so if you've got a class of 25 or 30 kids and you've got 1 or 2 that are round and you're a square classroom, they're the ones that are soaking up all your time. And that's why we have found in polling teachers, both in Arkansas and nationally, upwards of 75-80% of teachers are actually in favor of school choice. Now, they won't be vocal because of superintendents and they're afraid to get a pink slip, but they agree with it. Plus, a lot of teachers are parents and they understand the dynamic of classroom and different needs and individualized education. And if you think about it, our education is set up on age. So, you said you were 70, I'm 55, we're different learners. Even if we were the same age, that's why it's odd to me that still in America we're doing 3rd grade, you're 12 or whatever you are in 3rd grade, 10, I don't know. But, all 10-year-olds are not the same. So
Laurie, what happens to a business that doesn't succeed and doesn't meet the needs of its customers?
Is it a private business or a government business?
Doesn't matter. Well, that's true.
If it's a government business, it just keeps going. If
Yeah,
it's
they
a
get more
private
money to
business,
it.
yeah, they get us, some kind of grant. But
Companies that we've seen over the past 5 years go out of business have been around for 50, 60, 75 years. And if I name the names, everybody watching would know those names. But they're out of business because they failed to, I don't like using the word, but evolve to continue to meet the current need of their clientele.
Right.
But in the public school or the government school system, it's a monopoly. Have you ever called the utility company that wasn't taking care of you and you say, well, I'll just switch? There's nowhere to switch.
That's exactly right.
And so school choice should give the parent the right and the financial assistance that goes to the school to go to the school where the child attends, even if they're homeschooled. I asked the Bryant superintendent several years ago, if all of the foster children in care at Second Chance Youth Ranch left the Bryant school system and attended a private school or some other educational opportunity, would you have 25 to 40 empty desks? And he laughed and he said, Perry, we don't have enough desks now. But what happens if the children come to Arkansas Christian Academy through a scholarship, whether it's Reform Alliance or ACE or the church's support, the money for that child still stays at the school, the public school. And that's one of the reasons the school system, not our teachers, and not many of our educators, or even some of our administrators, they're not anti-school choice, but the whole system is. And it's a monopoly that they're guarding and protecting. We've got 30 seconds. What can a person do to come alongside Reform Alliance and help expand school choice and opportunities for their kids?
Go to our website. Go to our website and check it out. Send us an email. Call me, 501-258-6353. That's my personal cell phone number. I'm on my way to Clinton when I leave here, and we're just getting these groups of parents together to say, these are your schools, these are your kids, and let's get together and get organized and make some change.
Yeah, and you nailed it. These are our schools.
That's right.
Now, I'm a little biased because I'm an administrator of a private school, but I'm really biased on behalf of children and parents. And we want to engage you in your child's education and watch them grow and blossom. We'll see you again right here at Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. Bye-bye.